put it first, it doesn't matter. Whichever one comes first.
All right, what about the big fight they're talking about with Mikey Garcia and ERROL Spence Jr.? How do you see that fight going through?
You know, it's a good fight. Both of them got skills, and you know, it's a challenge for Mikey going up 2 weight classes, and that's the biggest challenge. That's what people don't know what's gonna happen because of the 2 weight classes. He's going up.
So who wins on that fight and how?
It's gonna be a good fight, man. I'm not gonna count Mikey out. You know, I just feel like Spence is too big, and I think Spence has the edge.
All right, on a personal note, I know your sisters are singers, your wife is also singing. Any singing for you?
No, I can't sing. I wish I could sing. I wish I could sing.
What's karaoke on your house?
No, I can't. I mean, I know the lyrics, but my vocals are bad, so yeah, I gotta stay away from the singing.
Improve it.
And talk to me about your thoughts about your stablemate Mikey Garcia moving up to 147 to take on ERROL Spence. What are your thoughts on that fight?
You know, a lot of people would think, wow, he's crazy. He's crazy. You know what? But this is a fighter, a smaller fighter that really hangs in there with any welterweight in sparring. You know, he's one of the most skilled overall great fighters that there is. And you can only love Mikey that much more for taking on this challenge. He knows he can win, and I believe it also.
How do you see that fight ending? Does that fight go to a decision, or is there any way that we can see a knockout on that fight?
I think because of Mikey's smaller size, people might underestimate his power, but this guy can crack, man. I've been there with him, and he can hit hard, just as hard as a welterweight. So they're both really strong punchers, but I think it'll probably be more of a chess match, and the more skillful fighter is going to win.
And what about your fight? I mean, we know that you also have, having faced Mikey Garcia, and now that we see that he moved up to 147, how does he see the fight between Mikey Garcia and ERROL Spence, and who wins and how?
Майки боксировал, и он сейчас в 147 перешел. Как ты себе представляешь бой с Майки Гарсия и Спенс?
Это будет очень хороший бой. Большой респект Майке, что он взял такой тяжелый бой, перешел в другую весовую категорию. Ну, надеюсь, он выиграет, и я выиграю, и когда-нибудь у нас будет реванш.
Well, there's nothing but respect to Mikey Garcia. He's a great fighter and great gentleman outside of the ring. People that never been in the ring with Mikey, watch him fight, will never realize who they're facing till they get in the ring with him. He's sort of an enigma, and by the time you'll figure him out, the fight is going to be over one way or the other, and he believes that Mikey is going to prevail. And then he's going to get a rematch with him.
Oh, okay. All right, well, we'll see what happens between that fight, and yeah, maybe we'll see the rematch with them. Leo, I want to get your thoughts. You moved up in weight. You know what it's like. Let's say for Mikey Garcia, who's moving up to 147. How do you see that fight between Mikey Garcia and ERROL Spence Jr.?
So, you know, a great fight. You know, I think if Mikey could adjust, I think he's always been sparring bigger guys, so I think he's already used to fighting, you know, bigger fighters, bigger guys than him. So I think if Mikey could take that, it would be a good fight for him. You know, I think they're both great fighters. They have great skills. For me, it's an even fight, a 50-50 fight, rather than the weight advantage. If that plays off, I think Spence is gonna have the advantage. But you know, we never know. Mikey's always been fighting bigger guys, so I don't know. It's hard to predict, but it's gonna be. I know it's gonna be a great fight, and whoever wins deserves to be the pound for pound best, #1.
See, Mikey, I've been in the ring with Spence too. You know, we sparred, you know, a few years back when we was amateurs, and Spence always had this type of power, you know, tremendous power, and you know, but you know, Mikey has his mind made up. You know, Mikey has his mind made up of going up in weight classes. You know, but you know that's what boxing's for. Boxing, you know. Champions believe they can take on other champions, so there you have it. You know, I tip my hat up to him. You know, you seen it tonight. He's a true champion, true warrior. So, but you know, ERROL Spence, he's a different breed. He's an animal, man.
Where do I start? Obviously, that Mikey and ERROL Spence fight is a huge deal. It's a super fight, basically. You know, it's going to be on pay-per-view. What else? All these champions, the Charlos, Danny Garcia, everybody. You know, everybody's just. I'm just excited to be a part of it and excited to watch as a fan as well.
And lastly, if I can just go back to the Mikey Garcia with Errol Spence, how do you see that fight playing out? Who wins and how?
That's a tough one. I'm a big Mikey Garcia fan. I think he might be giving up a little bit too much size. That could play a big factor. It probably will play a big factor because Errol Spence is a pretty big welterweight and Mikey's a lightweight, you know. But I think it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50. You can't count on Mikey's skills, so I think it's 50-50.
Errol Spence taking on Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia moving up 2 divisions. You faced Errol Spence in the amateurs. You defeated him. You said in the past that you're willing to give him an opportunity to try to avenge that loss. I want to get your thoughts on how do you break this down? How do you analyze this fight between them two?
From experience, I know that Spence is just a monster. He's strong. He's a freak of nature when it comes to that. And even now, you know, he's elevated his game even more now that he's a professional. You know, getting the right training, the right people behind him to help him out. I can only imagine. I joke around that I still feel one of the punches that he hit me with, and I'm not joking. I mean, this guy is a freak of nature, and if Mikey, I don't know, he has to be really smart in there because Spence will break him down and will hurt him badly.
When you move up in weight, you fighters say that you feel a difference. He's moving up 2 divisions in weight, and he's taking on someone you said he's a monster.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they have a good game plan. I know that Mikey's a really smart fighter, so I can see the fight being interesting, but if he tires out or if he lets Spence get off and do his thing, I don't see it ending good for Mikey.
I know you said that you don't want to talk about future fights, that you're focused on this, but a fight with Spence and with Thurman, with even Manny Pacquiao now that he got the win over Adrian Broner, Sean Porter. I mean, there's so much talent in 147. You must think that you want to face these elite champions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why I'm in the sport, to fight the best and to be the best. But everything in due time. Right now, I feel like I can make 140 comfortably, and I mean we'll see Friday, right? And then after that, I'm following the money now, So it's like wherever the money's at. If it's at 140, if it's at 47, I don't care. I'll try my best to be at those weights and.
What's your prediction on that fight? Because he is going up in weight, and Errol Spence is not just a regular champion. He's a force to be reckoned with.
Well, that's the thing. And right now, like I said, Mikey Garcia is a very brave fighter, one of the bravest of this era right now because he's stepping in the challenge. Now, a lot of fighters, I think there's 90% of the welterweights right now that are avoiding Errol Spence, and Mikey's not. Mikey says, you know what, I'll step to the plate. And a lot of credit to Mikey for that. But I just think that it's a win-win situation for Mikey. If Mikey plays it smart and beats Errol Spence, he becomes a super champion, Hall of Famer, something that a lot of fighters have not done. But even if he loses, he still wins because he took the challenge, stepped into the challenge. He's a smaller fighter. I honestly think that Mikey Garcia is, for me, the best 135-pounder, and at 140 pounds as well. But 47, I think he's pushing it.
I mean, this fight between Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, it's a fight that Omar can face the winner, or he can face, like you said, Mikey Garcia at 140, or he can face Errol Spence at 147. They fought in the amateurs. Omar beat him. How do you see that fight between Omar Figueroa and Errol Spence?
Errol Spence and Omar Figueroa will be a tough task for everybody. I mean, for me putting a plan together, and for Omar. Even though he beat him in the amateurs, it's been a long time. Errol Spence has evolved a lot, and he has done great in his professional career. He matured a lot. He's a physically strong fighter. And Omar said it when I asked him, hey, what do you think about Errol Spence? He told me, Coach, that guy is really strong. Believe me, even when we fought in the amateurs, he's a solid fighter. Solid. It's not easy. I mean, and up to now, a lot of people say, oh, well, he hasn't fought anybody. I mean, don't say he hasn't fought anybody, because Kell Brook was no easy fight. Kell Brook was no easy fighter at the time, and he beat him, and he demolished him. And he is where he is because he paid his dues and he did his work.
147 is stacked. Would you be able to tell me who you think the main guy at 147 is right now?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, that's hands down Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is the best in every angle in that welterweight division.
I know there's politics and sometimes fights can't really be done because of promotional companies. But if Terrence Crawford unify the 140, if politics wasn't an issue, you think he'd be able to unify 147 if it was possible to get all the fights?
Definitely. Anything's possible, as long as the promoters can put the fights together. I think that right now in the welterweight division, the mega fight in the welterweight division right now will be ERROL Spence and Terrence Crawford. And I think Terrence Crawford would win a decision. He will not knock out ERROL Spence. But I think due to the ability of fighting, because Terrence Crawford is a great fighter all around. He can fight lefty, he can fight righty, and he's a very smart technical fighter. Sometimes fighters prepare to fight against a right-hander in the ring, and he switches on him. Posto did that. Posto prepared himself to fight a right-hander, and that night, Terrence Crawford comes in as a left-hander. And that's the benefit that Terrence Crawford has. He was in camp with me for 2 times or 3 times when Bradley was getting ready for Pacquiao. And honestly, I never thought he was a right-hander fighter because he was always coming in and helping me southpaw. And he's a great, technical, smart fighter. He has all the ability that a fighter can have in the ring.